After finalizing the date for Trump's visit to China, he made three major concessions and gave a big gift to China. However, the Chinese side only responded with two sentences. It depends on whether Trump can put aside his face. According to the Washington Post, Trump's visit to China has been scheduled from March 31st to April 2nd, which may be the most frustrating visit by a U.S. president in history. February 20th, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a 6-3 vote that all tariffs imposed by Trump under the International Emergency Economic Rights Act are illegal. This ruling means that the tariff stick wielded by Trump over the past year has been legally removed. Chief Justice Roberts wrote bluntly in the ruling that the president claimed to rely on two words separated by 16 words in a law. It is possible to impose tariffs at any rate on any product from any country. These two words cannot bear such a heavy weight. To put it simply, you, Trump, have exceeded your authority. Levying tariffs is the power of Congress, not something the president can impose at will. According to the Wharton budget model at the University of Pennsylvania, the U.S. government has imposed tariffs based on this law over the past year. The total amount is as high as $175 billion US. All of this money is illegally collected and theoretically should be returned to the importer. Democratic senators have proposed a bill that requires a full refund within 180 days and payment of interest. Trump himself admits that this refund lawsuit may last for 5 years. It can be said that his tariff policy has not only failed economically, it also completely overturned in terms of the law. On the day of the verdict, Trump cursed the Supreme Court justices as a disgrace for his family, and then urgently signed an executive order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 of the 1974 Trade Act. The next day, he said he would increase it to 15%, but Section 122 had a fatal limitation of 150 days later. Approval from Congress is required to continue the collection. That is to say, Trump is no longer the only one who has the final say. The tariff knife that he most takes advantage of has been confiscated by the Supreme Court. Now he only has a temporary knife in his hand, and even this knife may be taken away by the Congress 150 days later. Unfortunately, at this critical moment, Trump is going to visit China. On the day of the Supreme Court ruling, the White House eagerly announced that Trump would visit China from March 31st to April 2nd, and even the schedule had been arranged, because 2026 is the year of the U.S. midterm elections, and all 435 House seats and 33 Senate seats will be re-elected in November, giving the Republican Party a majority advantage in both houses. They are all very fragile. If the House of Representatives loses 2 seats, it will lose control. And Trump's polls are already ugly, with a support rate of only 33% for the tariff policy and a high opposition rate of 60%. The proportion of independent voters who oppose tariffs has reached 3/4, and with the Supreme Court's decision, Trump urgently needs a diplomatic victory to salvage the situation. So before his visit to China, Trump made 3 major concessions in succession, the first of which was to relax the export control of chips to China. In January, the Ministry of Commerce officially revised the rules, changing the approval of NVIDIA H200 chip exports to China from presumed refusal to case-by-case review, which is equivalent to giving the green light to chip exports. Although a 25% surcharge has been added, this is essentially, it's like overturning the chip blockade policy from the Biden era and starting over. Democratic Senator Warner directly accused Trump of putting national security in a secondary position. Secondly, temporarily suspend a plan to sell weapons worth approximately $13 billion US to Taiwan. Both parties in Congress have informally approved items such as Patriot air defense missiles and anti-drone equipment, but the White House has directly halted them and stuck them in the State Council and don't push the situation forward. Officials revealed that the White House has explicitly ordered all departments not to proceed with this arms sale in order to ensure the smooth progress of Trump's visit to China. Thirdly, no new tariffs have been imposed on China. After the Supreme Court ruling, the United States imposed a 10% import surcharge on global trading partners, but the overall tax rate on China actually decreased. Morgan Stanley's calculations show that the weighted average tariff faced by Chinese goods has decreased from 32% to 24%. These 3 concessions together illustrate one thing: Trump now needs this visit more than China. He needs to get orders from China to expand the purchase of American agricultural products to appease voters in agricultural states. He needs to strive for China to increase its holdings of American Treasury bonds to stabilize the financial market. He needs a handshake photo to prove his diplomatic ability. But the Chinese side's response can be considered a textbook. After 4 days of silence, the Chinese side finally spoke a few words. The diplomacy of the head of state plays an irreplaceable strategic leading role in Sino-US relations. Both China and the United States are maintaining communication regarding President Trump's visit to China. The title of CNN's analysis article is very direct. The real winner of the Supreme Court tariff ruling is China. That's not wrong. When the tariff power of the U.S. president is significantly reduced by the country's judicial system, and when the pressure of the midterm elections force him to make concessions before his visit to China, the Chinese side responds to the U.S.'s urgency with 2 diplomatic phrases in a leisurely manner. There is no need for further explanation between China and the U.S. as to who is more calm and who is more passive. For China, the real concern is not when Trump will come, but what he can offer after he arrives. As repeatedly emphasized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the essence of China-U.S. economic relations is mutual benefit and win-win. Since it is mutual benefit, it cannot be a unilateral request. The visit itself is not the goal, and what substantive results can be achieved during the visit is the key.